Okay, so here's where we bring it all together in real time. We're looking at an hourly chart of the S&P 500 index starting on 30 September 2021. We're going to trade this through the fourth quarter of 2021. You see here a lot of my technical analysis things. Let's go ahead and pop out to the daily chart to get a view of what's going on. Here's a sort of weekly corridor trending up. We're just now forming this little structure here. We've broken down out of our weekly uptrend. Let's see what happens next. Let's pretend that we're back then for the time being. Just a quick note, as mentioned, I'm a very visual person, so I use these little let's call them rectangles to watch my trades, to monitor my trades, and I leave them there. You can also see them going back here. I leave them there because this is a visual record of my trades. I also keep a written record, but going back and looking at the visual aspect of it kind of helps me remember why I made certain decisions at certain times, certain entries, certain exits. But just wanted to give you a view of the sort of wider, big picture, 30,000 foot perspective on a daily chart. We're bottoming out here into this pattern on the 30th of September. Let's drill back down into the hourly. Right, so we're going to start. We're not going to place any trades until the 1st of October. And you'll be able to see them coming as we go along here, because as mentioned, you'll see the little trading boxes pop up. So coming back to the daily chart, we're very much in a confused picture here. You've got prices inside the cloud on the daily, just barely breaking out to the bottom side, finding a good deal of support right here along this line. Obviously, you can see that it kind of bounces up, as is normally the case in a structure like this. Usually happens around about 70-75%, but we'll go into technical analysis in another video. For the time being, let's get back into the hourly chart and start looking at what happens. So here we go. We're looking at 1 hour every half a second. So at that rate, we ought to be finished in about, let's say 10-15 minutes. So here we go. We have a break of the. Let's pause it so we can dissect that a little bit. We have a break of the conversion line across the baseline here. Very nice. We also have the twigs money flow giving us a signal that that this is confirmed. Price is still below the cloud on the hourly chart. So normally there, I'll wait and see what happens. Here we've broken out, but we have some rather bearish looking candles here, and we have a breakdown in the twigs here below, and we're moving back into the cloud. None of that is really terribly important though, because still on the daily chart we're below the cloud. So using my more conservative methodology, we're not placing any long trades yet. So let's get back into the action here and see what happens next. We've broken down below fairly strong support, but we're collecting again right along that line. All right, here again we have the conversion line breaking up above the baseline. Even if we were above the cloud on the daily chart, I wouldn't have taken this trade, because you see we have a doji candle forming here, actually two of them, indicating a lot of uncertainty. I'd want to see a very strong bullish candle, especially after a run up like this. Here, same story. Let's pause it though and have a look at the daily chart. Here we have again a bullish signal, signaling maybe go long on this. The twigs confirms it, but coming here to the daily chart, now we're still in the cloud, so nah, maybe not. I say no. I say we wait. Of course, I'm ruining it because you all can see my trades coming. Right, so we'll let that play out. See what happens. Here we're breaking down again, just really hugging that resistance line. So if we imagine a sort of cloud around that, which is really sticking to it, and now breaking down back into the pattern. So let's speed this up a little bit so we can actually see what a trade looks like. All right, so now we are through the cloud, right? But let's come back and see what's happening on a daily chart. All right, so we're now at the top of the cloud, and things are getting exciting. We might be able to start going long here and see what happens. So as you can see, we're coming into a trade, and I'll pause it once we get to it to describe exactly what's going to happen. All right, so here we go. Exciting stuff. Candles moving up and down. Candles going maybe into the cloud. Oh, nope. Oh, nope. Moving back. All right. And here we go. The trade has begun. Here you see we have a definitive, well, this is not so definitive, but we went down back below the baseline. Now we're breaking back out above. We've got a bearish candle there, so we stay out. We've got some bullish looking candles here, which is great. Now we come back to the daily chart. Okay, we're now firmly above the cloud. Little concerned about the potential for this weekly channel here to act as resistance, but let's see what happens. I'm going to go back down into the hourly chart, and as mentioned in the previous segment, one has two choices here. One can set the stop loss below the cloud, or right at the cloud, which is what I prefer to do because it's just quicker and easier for me to see, or one can do 2 times the ATR, the average true range, which in this case would have been a very small, narrow stop loss. You see now why I don't like doing that anymore. It's very nerve-wracking, but you also see it's a very short trade. And this is going to be a much longer trade. The reason being is we're going to target that 1.5 profit target, right, which would be way up here, since the stop loss has been set down here. Now let's come back to stop loss setting for a second. The trade's begun. I'm going to set my stop right here because it's just barely on the cloud and I can see that the cloud is moving up, so I've got plenty of room for the trade to breathe. I'm going to set my stop loss here, and I'm going to say that this delta between entry point and stop loss is going to be 2% of my account balance, right? So if my stop loss is triggered and my account balance is $1,000, then if we go down here and trigger it, then I'm losing 20, right? So setting 2% on this trade. I'm going to reset here that axis, and we're going to watch this trade play out. All right, here we go. So not too volatile. We've already had a successful, or almost successful trade on the ATR version. Just going, yeah. So this was, as you can see, this is a much longer trade than is normal. We had this position on for a lot longer than we normally do. But we didn't receive any exit indicators. That was there almost. I stayed in simply because we still have some green candlesticks. I'm getting a little concerned about this weekly potentially resistance line. We're in the cloud. Probably should have closed the trade right there, but didn't. Let's see what time it is during that. Yeah, it's well after my bedtime there, so I was definitely asleep while this was happening. But probably for the best. I would have closed it right there, but left it open, and now we're going to have our first successful trade, hopefully. So here we go. The trade kind of progresses. You can see we're getting close to the end of it, and I'll show you why. We're at the end of it. So now we have a cross right here. Let me pause it. We have a cross right here. conversion line crosses the baseline to the downside. This indicates to us that we need to get out of this trade. Unfortunately, if you look at the timestamp, it's 2 o'clock in the morning, so I'm probably asleep. By the way, the times here are all in Universal or UTC. Here, when I woke up and saw what was going on, I closed the trade. So let's look at one more to get the hang of this. It'll be the next one. You can see it's a much shorter stop loss, much shorter trade in general. So let's have a look. So we're coming up on it here. And all right, we're in the trade at 6 o'clock in the evening UTC on the 28th of October. I took this on a slightly bearish looking candle, but that's okay. I was looking at the momentum here and here. I have a baseline that's been crossed by the conversion line. I have potential support here on the weekly support channel from a few days before. Twigs confirms it, so we go ahead and start this trade. Yeah, it starts off going against us. Now we're bouncing off what's hopefully going to be resistance. Oh, we got really close to the stop loss there. Got really close to the stop loss again. Definitely feeling uncomfortable, but there we go. We have a fully successful trade at 1.5 times the stop loss closed. Very good. So what I'll do now is I'm going to go ahead and pause it, and here you can see again we have set up just for this video the ATR version. You can watch that play out. Anytime there's a smaller box inside of the bigger trading box, that's exactly what that is. Again, we don't trade like that anymore, but I've put them into these just to illustrate the point from the previous section. So I'm going to turn up the speed and let this play out for probably the rest of the quarter. And you'll get a pretty good idea of what happens. In case you're curious, we can skip ahead to the results for that quarter once I pull up the right piece of paper. So for Q4 2021, we traded the S&P. We had 3 successful trades. We had 3 failed trades where we were fully stopped out. And then we had 1 trade where we got about 75% of our profit target, 1 trade where we got about 60% of our profit target, 1 trade that was basically zero, didn't go anywhere, and then 1 trade where we lost about 20% of our stop loss, maybe a little bit more. So in all, we had a 50% win rate in terms of does the 1.5 happen or does the stop loss happen? So 50% there. And we ended up with 6.6% return for that quarter. So if you gross that up, which is probably a little optimistic, you're looking at something like 25% for the year trading the S&P there. So not bad. And then this is where we go into sort of Christmas holiday. No trades taken during that time. I like to generally avoid, especially with indices, the last 2 weeks of the year. Maybe even 3 weeks, depending on what's going on. And we can get into that in subsequent videos. I'll definitely be doing one on trading the S&P 500. In that video, I'll show you how to do it with ETFs, with CFDs. And we'll go into a lot of the fundamentals as well that drive it. And then when we play through one of these quarterly scenarios where we actually look at live trades happening, we can talk a little bit about what was going on in the macro environment and with some of the individual stocks that are in the index that were kind of driving these big moves. So with that, thanks a lot for your attention. Look forward to more videos like this in subsequent videos where we tackle an individual commodity or index or stock or FX pair. There'll be quite a bit more fundamental analysis added onto this. So please, if you found this helpful or interesting, go ahead and subscribe. If you liked it, please hit the like button. Any feedback you'd be willing to give as to what could improve on these, please just go ahead and put it in the comments section. I'd be very grateful for that. So thanks a lot, and wishing you all successful trading.